First up, we have David Shoebridge, who's a state member of the Greens, state MP of the Greens. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Simon. And welcome to you all here in our city, Sydney. I'd like to acknowledge the land we're standing on here today is Aboriginal land, and this land always was and always will be Aboriginal land, and I'd like to pay my respects to those elders past and present. We're gathering here today to speak in support of global free speech, because that's what the Wikileaks project is all about. Global free speech. Not bounded by the borders of Australia, not bounded by the borders of the United States or the UK. This is a global project in favour of free speech, which we're all going to be a part of. One of the key issues facing Julian Assange at the moment, the head of Wikileaks, while he's over there on bail conditions in the United Kingdom, is that he's facing extradition to Sweden. Now, I'm sure many of us, when we think of Sweden, think of IKEA and Norska and neutrality, and we have that sort of lovely warm inner glow when we think of Sweden. Well, since 2000, Sweden has become one of the strong supporters of the US's war on terror. It has a history of supporting rendition, extrajudicial rendition, which is code name for just putting someone who's not a Swede on a dark plane with a bunch of men with dark sunglasses off to a dark place where they can be tortured. They have that history. And Julian Assange and his lawyers in the UK are putting forward to the UK courts that if he's sent to Sweden on this extradition charge, he too may face that kind of extrajudicial rendition. Have we heard the Australian government stand up and demand a guarantee from the Swedish government that he won't face that? No, we haven't. Should we be hearing our leaders, our political leaders here in Australia, demand that guarantee as a basic minimum from Sweden? Of course we should, because Julian Assange is a citizen of Australia. And you would have thought that the sorry tale of connivance by this Australian government, by the prior Australian government, with the incarceration of David Hicks and Mamdouh Habib in Guantanamo Bay, languishing for years under conditions of torture, would have taught our current crop of political leaders a lesson. Australian citizens are not fair game for torture in support of anyone's war on terror. Now, late last year there was a flurry of rhetoric about Julian Assange, a flurry of rhetoric about Wikileaks, mostly based in the United States, with senators calling basically for Julian Assange's assassination, declaring Wikileaks a terrorist organisation. But right here in Australia, our Prime Minister declared that Wikileaks was unlawful, that Julian Assange had broken the law. Well, she's now had a month to hunt through the statutes, to look under a dark rock, to talk to her lawyers. She convened a committee. She has not put forward one single law that Wikileaks has broken under a law of Australia. Yet she hasn't withdrawn that slur from Wikileaks or from Julian Assange that their actions are unlawful. There's a reason. His actions, the actions of Wikileaks, are not only lawful, they're essential for fostering free speech in the 21st century. That's why we're here, to support those actions. From a Greens perspective, all of the leaks that have come out, one that really struck home for myself and for many members and supporters of the Greens was the absolute two-faced nature that we saw of the Australian government dealing on the issue of whaling, as just one example. Here they are in the major Australian daily newspapers. They're speaking in support of an absolute ban on whaling, how strong they are in their attack of the Japanese government. Yet we now know that in the dark corridors, they're scuttling along trying to cut a deal with the Japanese government which would continue to see the slaughter of whales in our southern whale sanctuary. What they're telling us is one thing. What they're actually doing, what their real agenda is, often something quite different. And it's that real agenda that we're getting a look at for the first time with Wikileaks. Wikileaks is a lancet of hypocrisy, and we must support it. Wikileaks, of course, one part of the way the information has come from people who leak into the public domain. Of course, it also gets published in newspapers. It also gets published on other internet sites. None of those are facing the kind of persecution of WikiLeaks. And there's a reason for that. That many of the traditional organs of media are relatively comfortable with the way the establishment works. They like having their quiet, offside briefings and feel like they're a part of something secret. And they give us some of it. They tell the broader public some of it. Well, WikiLeaks has none of that. WikiLeaks is a direct attack upon the establishment, producing that information to us in an uncensored fashion, where we can judge it for ourselves. And it's showing for the first time what those men and women in the dark suits, in the dark corridors, are really doing. It's showing us exactly what the internet has always had the potential to do, a great tool for openness and democracy. Well, the internet has opened the door. WikiLeaks has walked the information out the door. We're gathering here today to jam that door open and insist that we have global free speech. Good luck to all of you and good luck to this campaign.